Putin likes what he's seeing in the Mideast as it relates to the United States because he believes that our support for Israel may in some way distract from our support from Ukraine, and that he can pick up momentum in a war in which he has flailed, frankly. His country has flailed for a year and a half now.
Yes. When I was at the Pentagon, they called this the 2MRC scenario, the two major regional contingencies scenario, 2MRCs. And the plan then was win, hold, win. Win, hold, win. You focus on one, you win it. Then you focus on the other, you win, hold, win. This, I don't think that's the policy anymore. Not with Joe Biden. He's not on our side. He's a lefty and a sock puppet. Wajahat Ali is a leftist, a radical, anti-American, anti-Semite, and journalist, an American left-wing journalist. Wah, wah, wah. And Wajahat Ali, he's got an X account, and he posted, there's an X post here from Wajahat Ali. He's been around for a long, long time. And he says sources, he's got sources with direct knowledge. They always have direct knowledge. They might be experts. Sources with direct knowledge confirm many high-ranking Muslim appointees are strongly considering resigning. The Biden administration isn't listening to them during this crisis. Well, they're Muslims. You got to listen to them because the Muslims are attacking the Jews. So you got to listen to the Muslims. Their communities are frustrated. They have communities. Islamophobes are targeting them and questioning their loyalties. Well, let me, hey, Wajahat, if that's your real name, let me just say, if we've got officials in the government right now, high-ranking Muslim appointees, so they're not career government officials, they took appointed positions in the Biden regime, and they're Muslims because it's diverse, and that's very important to them. DEI should be DIE, and so they're Biden appointees, and they're all considering resigning because they're not listening to him. Well, the Jews are being massacred, and let me just say this to the appointees of Joe Biden in our government: we don't need you in our government. All right, you're lucky to be in America. You're lucky to have jobs in the government. But if you are so bent out of shape about Jews being slaughtered and then responding in self-defense, then you should resign. Please resign. Please get the hell out of here. If you can be deported for being on the side of Hamas, then you should be. I know there are a lot of Democrat members of Congress that are on the side of Hamas, the terrorist organization. But pay no attention to that. So Wajahat Ali, you got reliable sources and kind of like Brian Seltzer water. High-ranking Muslim appointees in the Biden administration considering resigning. Please do. MSNBC will probably hire you. And if you want to resign over honestly, I just read that Joe Biden yesterday just said he's going to give 100 million U.S. taxpayer dollars, your money and mine, to the jihadis, to the terrorists that voted for a terrorist organization, Hamas, and according to a poll in June, would reelect Hamas handily. And the majority of people living in Gaza say that they believe that Israel will not be around 20 years from now. Will not exist 20 years from now. They're the bad guys. And if we have these bad guys in our government, get the hell out. But know that Joe Biden and his cabal appointed these radicals and gave them senior government positions, and they're not on our side. Honestly. U.S. to send $100 million in humanitarian assistance for Gaza, West Bank. Sure. I got an idea. Stop murdering everybody. How about that? Just amazing. Go ahead and quit. And leave. Get the hell out. You can go join the jihad. Just don't join it here. Okay? Genocidal anti-Semites all over the Biden administration. Genocidal anti-Semites on college campuses who are exhilarated by the massacre of the Jews. Cornell University college professor. And then the genocidal anti-Semite at the Chicago Art Institute School, teaching art and pining for the death of Jews. It's a Democrat Party ethic. It's their thing. All right, let's go to number 7, just to hit refresh on Rashida Tlaib, Democrat member of Congress, in front of the Capitol yesterday, rallying a mob that then went and took over a House office building, the rotunda of the Cannon House office building. And hundreds of them were arrested because it was an insurrection, but they're all going to be allowed to go. Rashida Tlaib, who is with the Jihad Squad.
All of you, you need to know, I swear to God, Wahyat Allah,
Oh,
you are on the right side of history. You are.
Woo.
You're doing everything possible to save lives. What is wrong with that?
She's unwell. She's emotionally unstable. She's crying and sobbing because not enough Jews have been murdered, and she wants more genocide because that's who she is. That's what's going on with her. Soundbite number 20. Protesters that took over the House of Representatives office building, known as the Cannon House office building, they took over the rotunda. It was October 18th. October 18th must never be allowed to happen again. And they claim that they're Jewish, but I think only some of them are telling the truth. They're chanting, "Not in our name, not in our name." Not the United States of America should not stand up for Israel, not in our name. Now, there were young crazy people and there were old crazy people. A lot of them were wearing masks, not because of the Wuhan Red Death, but because they were concealing their identity. And they were chanting and going wild. They want to eliminate the state of Israel. Ceasefire now. Free Palestine. Free Palestine means wipe out Israel and kill all the Jews. That's what it means. That's the thing about them. Now let's go to this very interesting woman that was on the television this morning. Very smart woman, and she is an American. She was born in Tehran, which is the capital city of Iran, and she's a very smart woman. She worked in the Trump administration in the State Department, and she was deputy special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism. She is Jewish, born in Iran, Jewish, now American, conservative, and she was asked, well, what do you think about Rashida Tlaib crying and sobbing? You're on the right side of history if you want to wipe Israel off the map and kill all the Jews, the new genocide for the 21st century. The Socialist Workers' Party in Germany in the 1930s and 40s, and the Democrat Party in the United States in the 21st century. Her name is Elle Cohenim, and Elle Cohenim, obviously a very smart woman, watching her this morning. She was on the Fox News channel very early, and I was watching.
Well, I have to say first, as an American Jew, as someone who spends my time combating Jew hatred, I point my finger at Rashida Tlaib for spreading a modern-day blood libel against Israel and against the Jewish people. This is absolute lies. It was proven out by the time that Tlaib made these statements, as you just pointed out, Todd. And the reality is that we've seen the deadly consequences of her pro-Hamas propaganda. She needs to be censured. Her Democrat Party leadership needs to hold her accountable for spreading lies and propaganda against Israel and the Jews.
The term blood libel that she used there refers to the false allegation that Jews used the blood of non-Jewish, usually Christian children for ritual purposes. The Nazis used blood libel propaganda, And El Conan is accusing Rashida Tlaib and the Democrats of being guilty of spreading blood libel. It's, a fundamental tenet of the age-old phenomenon of anti-Semitism. El Conan.
And by the way, even our own U.S. embassy personnel have faced fires across embassies and attacks across U.S. embassies across the world because of this lie that Rashida Tlaib is spreading.
She doesn't worry about that. Get all caught up in who killed who. She fears not. Marine security detachments at the embassy in Beirut, our embassies and consulates elsewhere, are troops that we still have several thousand of in Iraq. Were attacked yesterday. Drone attacks, Iran behind them, of course. Joe Biden, the number one funder of Iran, only bigger funder of Iran, Barack Obama. And we have troops in Syria fighting the troglodytes, too, and they were under attack yesterday as a result of this as well. El Conan.
This is outrageous. The Democrat Party is finding that they have an actual Hamas caucus in their ranks.
An actual Hamas caucus in their ranks, and they're fine with that. They honestly are. They're pro-jihad. El Conan on the Democrat Party.
We need the Democrat Party to get with the program and censure Rashida Tlaib, censure this Hamas caucus, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, the Squad AOC, and ultimately, they don't have a place in our United States Congress.
They don't have a place there, but the Democrats are not going to take action against Democrats. They could impale babies on pikes surrounding the Capitol, and there would be no action taken against them, especially if they were Jew babies, because you know how the Democrats are these days. Just amazing. Oh, just in that terrible thing. Maybe John? Man, oh man. Let's go to John, calling from Durwood, Maryland. John, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. I just wanted to find out if you have you referenced a quote from Red October about "you arrogant ass, you killed us," referring to the rocket in Gaza.
No, I have not referenced that. No, when the Soviet submarine kills themselves with their own torpedo, no, I have not made reference to that. That's a fun reference. That's good. Yeah, and
that seemed like it seemed like a Chris Plant reference when I thought of it, because I listen to you all the time, and we're from the same era. And when you say things like "ping, pang, ping, ricochet, rabbit," I almost wrecked my car.
Xi Jinping, a ricochet rabbit, the commie leader of China, meeting with Vlad the Impaler. But I see Michael Piercy's fingers are busy at work since you mentioned this. And you're right, it is kind of like the Soviet submarine in Hunt for Red October. Fired a torpedo trying to sink the Red October, and they tricked him, and the torpedo blew up their own, I think, Oscar-class submarine. And it's true. Here are these troglodytes shooting, trying to kill the Jews, and it comes down and they kills themselves.
You arrogant ass. You've killed us.
You arrogant ass, you've killed us. I miss the Soviet Union. Don't you, John? The Soviet Union made sense. It just made sense. You know?
It did. I mean, as bad as they were, at least we dealt with them on the same level. Now, these people they're not people. They're monsters. They're not animals. They're monsters.
Right.
And I'm sorry. I'm of a generation that, in the Second World War, we didn't warn people when we went to bomb them. Hey, you guys are lucky. These people are civilized. You know what? Warn them. They don't get out. Sorry. Allah's waiting.
Yeah, right. No, that's exactly right. You're right. And the Egyptians don't want them. The Jordanians don't want them. They don't want to go to Syria. The Lebanese don't want them. Nobody wants them because everybody knows you don't take in the Palestinians. They'll just lead to bad things. Heads on pikes and bombs and suicide vests and exploding everything. Absolutely true. Yeah, but the left, they just, the truth for a lot of them will always be the dark side of the moon. They will never see it. We never see the dark side of the moon. It never rotates so we can see it. We only see the one side of the moon. See, I got to explain this to Democrats. You can see the craters with your own eyes. Kamala. Is she the moon czar, too? What a maroon. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Book by this July 31st for extra savings. Visit chrisplantcruise.com. All right, let's take a phone call here and talk to the great American people. CNN hates the great American people. The Washington Post hates the great American people. Let's go to Brad, calling from Key West, Florida. Bradley, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Hi.
Hey, Brad.
First of all, you and I have a very similar history. We both grew up in the North Shore of Chicago, and we both got kicked out of high school. But there's another thing I wanted to tell you is my dad was a Marine F-8 Crusader pilot, and then he became a pilot for United, and that's why we ended up in Chicago. Anyways, I never seen anything on the news about this Rotunda riot that happened. I'm watching Newsmix, which covers CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, and none of them has shown any video or mentioned it at all. You're the only source.
Why do you think that is?
Because the Democrats.
That really is the short answer. It honestly is that they're not journalists; they're Democrats. And by the way, how many were arrested here yesterday? There were, I believe, hundreds arrested yesterday by the U.S. Capitol Police because the violent mob engaging in insurrection and advocating for Hamas and opposing Israel while claiming to be Jewish. Just an extraordinary story, and they took over this portion, at least, of a U.S. Capitol building. Hundreds arrested after pro-Palestinian demonstrators flood Cannon Rotunda, Capitol Complex. And there they are. Looks like they're on the west front on the terrace. And it's, forget January 6th, it's October 18th. October 18th must never be allowed to happen again. Hundreds were arrested Wednesday after pro-Palestinian protests, plural, broke out on Capitol Hill, instigated largely by Rashida Tlaib, who is the Joseph Goebbels of the jihad. And with demonstrators flooding into the Cannon House office building and large crowds gathering with flags and signs around the Capitol complex, not American flags, not Israeli flags, jihadi flags. And every damn one of them is a Democrat. Every single jihadi is a Democrat. There were no Trump voters. There were no conservatives rallying for Hamas. Now, I've got to say, maybe the Republicans are not up to governing the House of Representatives. This just gets dumber and dumber. Now the radical left-wing Politico blog site in Washington is reporting that Jim Jordan is set to announce that he will not seek a third ballot in the speaker race. You know, we've had these two votes, and Jim Jordan lost, and then he lost by more the second time around. And now Jordan's set to stop speaker balloting, support powers for McHenry. You know, you guys really need to pull your heads out of your rectums, and you need to govern a little bit. Whatever your petty squabbles are. What an embarrassment. You know how many people put how many millions of hours into taking control of the House of Representatives for the Republicans so that Republicans could control the budget process and restore regular order and bring everything through committees and have the 12 appropriations bills voted on instead of all this omnibus last-minute fake government shutdown theater. You're all fired. Every damn one of you is fired. I might move to Belize. I think I might have to move to Belize. What do you think? So Jordan set to stop speaker balloting, support powers for McHenry. Jim Jordan is set to announce that he will not seek a third ballot in the speaker race and instead will support a plan to let acting Speaker Patrick McHenry, a Republican from North Carolina, run the House of Representatives temporarily. The Ohio Republicans' decision, confirmed by a person familiar with the matter. You wouldn't really want it confirmed by someone who's not familiar with the matter, would you? It's, hey, if it can by someone, confirmed by an anonymous person who nobody knows, comes as he faced an insurmountable path to the top gavel. First of all, I don't think the path is insurmountable. And what's the top gavel? You mean the gavel? How many gavels are there? The top gavel? It's a remarkable victory, listen to this BS, for centrists who crafted the proposal to empower McHenry, who didn't seek out the speakership. Now, that's your Republican Party on Capitol Hill today, and you people are a disgrace. You're an embarrassment. You are not up to the job of governing. Just yesterday, Jim Jordan loses second vote for House Speaker amid steep GOP opposition. You guys honestly need to remove your heads from your rectums, from your dark and remote locations. You need to start behaving as adults might behave. You've been sent to Washington to do a job. It's not really that hard a job. Do it. Stop being school children. You pathetic clowns. And really, at this point, it's just a matter of voting for Jim Jordan and moving on. And if you're voting against Jim Jordan because of some petty squabble, okay, I understand you've got a petty squabble. Then you'll have a petty squabble with the speaker. Isn't it better to have a petty squabble? Maybe it's not better to have a petty squabble with the speaker. Just vote for Jim Jordan. Establish a Republican as the Speaker of the House and get to work. You clowns, you're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to the Republican Party, and that's not easy. You're an embarrassment to Washington politics, and that's almost impossible. You're an embarrassment to bipedal mammals. There's a lot of that going on. Honestly. Boy, oh boy. Dan Abrams, talking to Dan Abrams, because he's the founder of Mediaite. I thought he was the founder of some legal thing. But there it is. Dan Abrams, and he was talking to Seltzer Water. Speltzer, man, oh man, I am telling you. I'm embarrassed. All right, let's get back to, speaking of embarrassing, to Joe Biden, who is a complete embarrassment as president of the United States. He is also a disgrace, and he's sending $100 million to the jihadis because the Democrat Party isn't democratic. They are lunatics. They're left-wingers. They're on the side of those that would destroy the United States of America, and that's their job, the way they see it, and Western civilization. We got Putin and Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping, a ricochet rabbit. All right, let's go to Joe Biden yesterday aboard Air Force One. This was a weird clip. Did you see the Secretary of State, creepy Secretary of State Antony Blinken, lurking behind him, like peeking out from the bathroom or a closet or something, looking at Joe Biden, waiting for him to say something idiotic, no doubt. But here's Joe Biden aboard Air Force One on the subject of giving $100 million to the people that just butchered 1,400 Jews for being Jewish. Hey, here's $100 million. They murdered, 30 Americans, and we think, but aren't sure, that they have 12 or 13 Americans being held hostage in their 311-mile tunnel network because they didn't turn it into a beachfront paradise. They turned it into a hostage-taking gang of murderous, blood-drenched soot-covered lunatics. You notice how colorless the Gaza is? It's gray. It's in black and white. And so are the people. Joe Biden on Air Force One on his way back from Israel after being humiliated in myriad ways, including having the meeting that he was supposed to have in Amman, Jordan, with King Abdullah of Jordan, with General al-Sisi, the president of Egypt, and with Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority. First, Mahmoud Abbas dropped out because troglodytes bombed the Baptist hospital, because somebody's got to run a hospital. And then King Abdullah came out and said, by the way, we're not taking any refugees here. So stick that whole idea. Egypt isn't taking any refugees either. And al-Sisi was there with King, did I say Abdullah? It's, what's his name? That's Saudi Arabia. Yeah, it's Abdullah. Let's go to Joe Biden aboard Air Force One. He was coming home after accomplishing nothing, but the news media was pretending that it was really great. And who was at ABC News said big win for Joe Biden because he's giving $100 million to the terrorists that are trying to wipe Israel off the map. Just remarkable. Our news media is, they're not the worst in the world, but they might as well be, honestly. Here's Joe Biden aboard Air Force One.
I was very blunt about the need to support getting humanitarian aid to Gaza. Get it to Gaza and do it quickly. I don't know what you picked up in Israel, but I got no pushback. Virtually none.
Virtually none. He got no pushback at all. That's because he lives in a circle fest in a hot tub of leftists that are, all marching in lockstep at all times. They never deviate from the party line. But the news media are very excited that the terrorists are going to get $100 million taxpayer dollars. Isn't that great news for everyone? Just extraordinary. Biden's big win. It's ABC News. Biden to address nation. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. Says, quote, I got it done, end quote, on aid to Gaza. What was that, a hard one? Who'd you have to convince? Says Joe Biden. And I didn't get any pushback. And his creepy Secretary of State is lurking behind him like, He looks like Fritz in Frankenstein, lurking behind him in the bathroom or in a closet, hovering over the president. And he's excited to announce money for terrorists.
Today, I'm also announcing $100 million in new U.S. funding for humanitarian assistance in both Gaza and the West Bank. This money will support more than 1 million displaced and conflict-affected Palestinians, including emergency needs in Gaza. If Hamas diverts or steals the assistance, they will have demonstrated once again that they have no concern for the welfare of the Palestinian people. And it will end.
Duh.
As a practical matter, it will stop the international community from being able to provide this aid.
Horsepucky. If it's stolen by the armed militia known as Hamas, the radical Islamic Jihadi army, which is genocidally anti-Semitic, then that means the international community, whatever that is, will not be able to provide any more until they do. And I played the audio earlier of the Israeli Defense Forces soldier saying, this money that the West, the United States, has given to the so-called Palestinians has been used to build the tunnel network and to build missiles and rockets with which they can more efficiently kill all the Jews, and on and on. And Joe Biden is just a moron. It's just amazing what a moron he is. An unprecedented aid package pledges $100 million in humanitarian aid, because we know all the good humanitarian work that Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad do. And the $6 billion that Iran will be getting access to, It's only for humanitarian purposes because we know that the world's leading state sponsor of terror is all about their humanitarian work, right? Now, there was a smart woman again on the television very early this morning on the Fox News channel, Dr. Rebecca Grant. Dr. Rebecca Grant talking about the $100 million of our money, taxpayer dollars, going to the terrorists because the Democrats love funding the terrorists. That's the thing about them. Dr. Rebecca Grant.
Well, I think we'd all like to hope it would go for medicine for wounded civilians. There is no guarantee. I don't think President Biden can really give us a guarantee. Actually, I don't think he did give us a guarantee. His statement was pretty weak, I thought.
Statement was pretty weak, I thought. Yes, international relations expert, academic Dr. Rebecca Grant. He didn't give us any guarantee because they don't. Senator Ted Cruz was not buying the stupidity that's being peddled by the Democrats to fund the terrorists. $6 billion for Iran, $100 million for Hamas. But if they don't use it for humanitarian purposes, they've never used a shekel for humanitarian purposes in the history of Hamas. Senator Ted Cruz not buying it.
We need to cut off the money to Iran. The Biden administration has flowed nearly $100 billion to Iran. Joe Biden and his administration is, in a very real sense, funding this attack.
You know, the reality is that what Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done to energy independence in the United States of America, that is, eliminating energy independence in the United States of America, which President Trump achieved, has caused the price of oil per barrel to skyrocket and has put tens and tens of billions of dollars into the coffers of the Islamic Revolution in Iran and, of course, into the coffers of Vlad the Impaler Putin. Just extraordinary. And what's going on here? Well, hundreds arrested after pro-Palestinian demonstrators flood a House office building on Capitol Hill, and every stinking one of them is a Democrat. Tearful Rashida Tlaib, Democrat congresswoman, doubles down on blaming Israel for the Gaza hospital attack after it was proven, and even Al Jazeera showed the video, proving that it was other Palestinians that did. Just amazing. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Robert calling from Illinois. Robert, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm very well, Robert. Thank you very much.
I'd like to make two quick comments.
Sure.
First comment is, I don't know how we're sending money to foreign countries. The power of the purse comes from Congress. And second, and most importantly, that was Palestine's land until 1947. And Israel's increasingly encroached on the original parameters of that land. Now, that doesn't negate what those people did to those children, to those elderly. You know, I'm a Catholic man, and I was taught you protect the elderly, you protect children. You know, we just had a gentleman kill a little Muslim boy. You know, when you look in the eyes of a child, you see innocence. When you look in the eyes of an elderly, you see innocence. That's why a newborn animal like a deer or a dog has those big eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But we shouldn't get involved in this. These people are going to be killing each other long after my grandkids are dead. We don't have the money. And my buddy said this. He was in Special Forces. As Americans, we need to start saying, no more American blood and toil for your soil.
Yeah.
It's your soil. It's your land. If someone invades this country, I'm not going to ask anybody for help. I'm going to arm up and I'm going to die on this land that gave my family the freedoms that we have.
Yeah.
Those people need to do it themselves. I can't. I was never into politics until I saw my friends go off to war.
Mm-hmm.
As a civilization, we need to be ready for war at all times, be a warrior in a garden, not a gardener in a war.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea that the first option is always fighting and war, it's childish. And I'll be honest with you, I'm 43. My generation is tired of it, and we're done with it. I can't even drive over I-80 without having a sign on it saying, drive at your own risk.
Mm-hmm.
But yet we got money for bombs. Jimmy Dore always says, we don't have money for high-speed rail. maybe from some desalinization plants in California.
Mm-hmm.
But bomb money? Oh, we always got bomb money. It's right here, right next to my beer money.
Yeah.
We're tired of it.
Well, I got you, Robert. No, I mean, there's a lot. We could have an hour-long conversation about this. I've said it out loud many times. I'll say it again. I'm a Zionist. I believe that Israel has the right to exist. I believe creating the state of Israel after World War II was legitimate. The lines were drawn. The United Nations was in on it. It wasn't Palestine per se. It was the British protectorate of Palestine. It was a colonial holding. Palestinians are not an ethnic group. They're Arabs like their Arab neighbors. The Jews have claim going back to the time of Abraham, 1,500 years, I think, before Moses, who escaped slavery under the pharaohs to go to Israel. It belongs to the Jews. They're capable of fighting themselves. But also, you're right. He just takes $100 million without Congress being involved and gives it to the terrorist group, Hamas. Our house is not in order. You're right about an awful lot of things, Robert. And I thank you for calling in, and I thank you for thinking. Please just keep doing that. I know you will. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Senator John Kennedy, Republican, Louisiana, always entertaining. He was there on the Fox News channel talking about Joe Biden and Israel pandering to Hamas and all that good stuff. And our border is wide open, and we keep finding even more would-be jihadis caught crossing our southern border. It's happening pretty much every day now. And national security is not the Democrats' bag because they're not on our side. They're here to tear us down. Senator John Kennedy.
America has a president whose administration is, frankly, more interested in discussing whether a man can breastfeed than it is in talking about national security.
Well, they do like breastfeeding men. A lot of their, they are. Another woman thrown in front of a subway train in New York City in Manhattan, and the police are looking for a Democrat named Sabir Jones. Keep your eyes peeled for Sabir.